Opposite Gloves here, and this is another video in the FL12 effects series, and today we're going to be talking about the Flangus. Now, this is basically a flanger, but it's like a whole bunch of flangers stacked on top of each other. So if you haven't watched the video about the flanger, the tutorial, it's like one or two back from this one. Go really quick, check that one out, and you will see some relations here, because I'm not going to talk about the flanger and what it does specifically. I'm just going to talk about the Flangus, which is like, I guess, multiple flangers. So you'll notice right off the bat that we have a whole bunch of settings. We have order. This is essentially the amount of flangers. Now, before I go any farther, I have a sine wave going out right now. So that's the sine wave. So we have, first of all, I guess we'll start over here. We have wet and dry, and dry is the unprocessed signal. So it's just going through dry. And you can see we can go down. This just phase inverts it. So these are all, so you can phase invert these three options. So dry out. We're going to put only the wet out for now to just hear the wet. So just so you know, that's wet. And if you want to invert the signal, so this is stereo mixing. So whatever's coming out your left speaker will now come out your right. And whatever's coming out your right will come out your left, and so on and so forth. If it's mono, it shouldn't matter. So this ORD stands for order, and this is the amount of flangers, how many are stacked on top of each other. You can have up to 9, and you just click and drag to change the value. So right now we only have 1, but if we move it up, you can see we have multiple flangers, and it increases the amplitude quite substantially. So that these mix knobs may be necessary later, depending on how many you want. So we have this depth option right here. It controls how far the pitch oscillation can go. And we start seeing we get some stereo action here. Now speed controls the frequency of the feedback being fed in. So how fast it's fed back in. So you see we get an oscillation going here. Do slower. And now if we turn up the order, so we have more flangers on top of each other. See, this changes, it's allowed to go all the way, so it can affect the entire signal in depth, the pitch variation, and this is how fast that pitch variation can happen. So some interesting effects there. And feedback, when a whole bunch of feedback loops start canceling each other out, especially in the stereo field, we get some wacky results. Then we have this delay. This is, it sets different delay values. By the way, these things affect these sliders, give each different flanger in our order here a different value. And what delay does is it introduces the delay of each one of them at different times. And you see sometimes you get some real mono stuff. So to help fix this, or not mono, some like one channel, like only out the left or only out the right, we have the spread option. Spread actually, besides applying a stereo spread, also gives the order each one a different depth, speed, and a different delay unit. So this kind of like randomizes this, and this is like how much you're allowing to the spread to randomize it. So that may or may not be something you want. And then cross applies a stereo spread specifically. The spread really happens as a result of randomizing the speed and depth here because of how the phase works and stuff. But if we have the cross, this actually sends us its stereo spreads our signal. And it will invert that stereo spread. So what was in right is now in left, and left and right if you go down, as we talked about before. And that is pretty much it. So it's just a bunch of flangers. And you can hear the single flanger, and you should be familiar with that with the flanger already down there in the options. So that is what the Flangus does. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Subscribe if you enjoy these videos, and have a blessed day.